I think I figured out and I got some insight into why Lincoln Riley might have taken offense to my question after Saturday's game.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, this show is always free, and I always appreciate your support. You can show your appreciation. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. It means a lot. Become a subscriber. It's easy. It's free. Just click the subscribe button, and I don't want you to miss one episode Monday through Friday or even a post-game reaction. Like I said, hit that bell notification button and you will not miss one episode. This show is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Following USC's, it was a thrilling and it was an exhausting 43-41 comeback victory in triple overtime. The media gets together. We go down under the Coliseum, and we get to ask Lincoln Riley and some players questions. I heard the sports information director say, "Let's do one more question." It was time for Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams and Jamil Muhammad to get up and leave, but that was my cue. So whether my question was still fresh in Coach Riley's mind or not, it was still very fresh in my mind, what I wanted to ask. And I'm referring to the final sequence of offensive plays that USC had down near the goal line at the end of regulation. You can see here on the rundown, I'm going to talk about the offensive play calling. I'm going to tiptoe this very delicately because I have very little issue with Lincoln Riley's offensive play calling. With that said, he likes to talk about situational mastery and being able to understand the situation you're in. Let's explore the 2-minute drill, shall we? Again, it's partially why I asked the question: what is the team's offensive identity? Are they a passing team, or are they a running team, or are they just a situational team? I think there's a combination that leads to they're a situational team, and that's how they call their plays. The short answer, though, is they are a Caleb Williams offense who can pretty much do anything when he wants. He's that good. He's an amazing talent, and there's no doubt about it. Caleb Williams might be the best college quarterback to play the game. We'll find out. He's still got 6 more regular season games to go. I mean, he's got a strong arm. He can make any throw from any arm angle, and he actually gets better when he's under duress, when you're chasing him around. That's scary. But one of the benefits to Caleb's game is not only can he make any throw, but he's got some really powerful legs that help him push and twist his way into the end zone, and he can do that without the benefit or the assistance of a bush push. On USC's final drive in regulation, it started at their own 33-yard line, and there was just about a little over 2 minutes to play. I think there was like 2 minutes, 5 seconds, 2 minutes, 8 seconds, whatever. A little over 2 minutes. But this is when Lincoln Riley's clock management and his play calling were under the microscope. Remember, USC is trying to close this game out. The game is tied at 28. Eventually, USC had a 1st and 10 at Arizona's 30-yard line with 31 seconds to play. Okay, technically, they're in Dennis Lynch's field goal range. I don't know if we want to try it that far out, but you understand where we're at. On the very next play, handoff to Marshawn Lloyd, 24 yards, and he is pushed out of bounds. Clock stops. So there's 24 seconds left on the clock. You've got 1st and goal at the 6-yard line, and you've got a timeout, and it's screaming, "Do it again!" run Marshawn Lloyd, run out Austin Jones, or even, you know what, let's try Caleb. Instead, these are the next three plays. Caleb Williams throws a ball behind Brendan Rice. Brendan wasn't even looking for the ball. He had no idea this play was coming. I don't think he saw or heard of the audible. Fortunately, neither did the Arizona defender, because if he was looking for the ball, it is a clear path, pick six, game over. Then on the next snap, after that incompletion, the ball's mishandled on a designed handoff. It was a 2-yard loss. I literally watched USC's offense rush up to the line of scrimmage. They wanted to clock the ball. They wanted to spike it. Instead, I don't know what happened, but Riley waited, and then he called a timeout, and there was 4 seconds left in the game. So that whole sequence right there was rushed. It was disjointed. The head coach is calling one play. Caleb Williams is audibling. To put a cherry on top of everything, to finish off the whole sequence of events, the snap on Dennis Lynch's field goal attempt was high. No kick for you. Nothing happens. So you had the timeout. You had 1st and goal from the 6-yard line. Again, run the ball. What got into Caleb? What did Caleb see? That he said, you know what, we're going to pass first. You want to keep the ball in Caleb's hands. And if anything, run that RPO pass with the second option near the goal line. Caleb Williams, with the ball in his hands, is a running back. He showed that in this game. That was his strength. He didn't have a great passing game. He really didn't. Because I can't, if that would have happened, I can't really think of any other reason why. I think Lincoln Riley's response was so terse when he said, you know, I want to score in every freaking play too. I think he was caught in between, like, you know what, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus right now. That wasn't my play call. On Monday, Coach Riley, he broke down that whole series on the Trojans Live radio show. He said, the pass attempt from Williams to Rice should not have happened. Quote, we got a little lost in the moment there, Riley said. What does we mean? The play call, the audible, turns out Caleb made the call to pass. Riley continued. You could tell that Arizona, they weren't actively engaging in blocks. And we were talking on the headphones like, hey, they might surrender here. Okay. Riley also said, you know, on that 2nd down call that it was exactly the same play as the 1st down call, that handoff to Lloyd. But on 2nd down, Lloyd would then take a knee at the 1-yard line in the middle of the field to set up the field goal. I'm not sure why Lincoln Riley was worried about scoring too soon. I'm going to get there in a second, but instead it just appeared like Williams tried to pull the ball and score himself. We called it, and Caleb he's just got to do a little bit better job understanding the situation. He saw what he thought was a pull and thought he was going to score. That's what you love. Great players, typically, they just want it in their hands at the end. That's just kind of how he's wired. But he's got to know the situation to hand it off, and the plan was for the back to take a knee there at the 1-yard line. First of all, I don't agree with taking a knee. I'm glad I didn't hear that after the game Saturday, because that really would have caused me to raise my eyebrow even more. I'm willing to score the touchdown at that junction of the game with less than 30 seconds, even with USC's defense. I'm willing to risk it with around 10 to 15, maybe 20 seconds at the most left in the game if USC walks in unabated and scores that touchdown. I'm willing to take that risk. Next week, the weather's going to be an issue in South Bend. It's calling for cold, windy, rainy conditions. Those conditions benefit Notre Dame, who likes to use their power running game. So is Lincoln Riley going to adjust his play calling? Is he going to be more strict with it? Is he going to be stubborn? Is he going to want to try and get Caleb passing numbers? Will Caleb understand the moment? Look, these are I'm asking rhetorical questions right now. Is there a confidence issue with the run game or the offensive line specifically? And if there is, who is that with? Who has the confidence issue? Mason Murphy replaced Michael Tarquin last week in the first half. We're going to look at more of that in the next segment. We're going to talk about some of the numbers, USC by the numbers, in the second segment. And what's going on with this is just me kind of throwing this out there as a segue. If the offensive line was having issues, what's going on with the whole center holder situation on special teams? Again, we're going to talk about USC by the numbers in the next segment. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and they are the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on a. You can pick 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the money roll into your account. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you like. I like college football. I love college basketball, including you can choose more than or less than on NFL games, NBA games, Major League Baseball, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, and a lot more than that. You pick 2 to 6 players, and what you're doing is that they will go more or less than their Prize Picks projections. You literally can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. At Prize Picks, you aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Here's an example. Caleb Williams will throw for more than 300 yards. Marshawn Lloyd will run for more than 100 yards. Notre Dame will score less than 30 points. Prize Picks offers a recently improved deposit and withdrawal experience, including the option to use Apple Pay for quick deposits into your account. You want to talk about security? Apple Pay. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Once again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit, and they're going to match up to $100. Trojan fans, stop stressing out and trying to get tickets. Download the Game Time app. You trying to get out to South Bend? You want to looking for a ticket? Game Time is the place to go. They've got killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you'll have. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. You can get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time guarantees you'll always get the best price. In fact, if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for a reason. And you literally can buy your tickets in seconds. 2 taps, boom, you're done. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LockedOnCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Create an account, redeem your code LockedOnCollege. You're going to get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. College football season is here, and this season Locked On is kicking up our coverage each Friday. Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On College YouTube channel. That's 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. Locked On College Football Live will cover the college football playoff implications, the conference rivalry games, and they're going to also go in depth like only Locked On can, including insights and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Live every Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern on any Locked On channel. There's lots of numbers from Saturday's contest. Most of them aren't good. The only numbers you need to remember from this segment, USC 43, Arizona 41. They did that in triple overtime. But I'm still going to talk about some of the numbers, some of the statistics from the game against Arizona. I want to start with the offensive line. It's been a little bit of a point of contention recently. Check out these snaps. These are the snap counts. Left tackle Jonah Monheim, 70. Emmanuel Prignon, 70. Right guard Jarrett Kingston, 70. Justin Dietrich at center, 69 snaps. Remember, he had to come out for one play. Mason Murphy, right tackle, played 51 snaps. He replaced Michael Tarquin in the game, who only played 19 snaps. That one snap that Justin had to come out for, we really should highlight it because Killian O'Connor came in, and you knew that the Arizona defense was going to come rush right up the middle on him. He stood his ground. He did his job. So hopefully I think that builds up a lot of confidence, not only in your coaching staff, but in your team as well, when you say, hey, you know what, someone can come in and next man up and be that dude. So what you should take from those numbers is the offensive line saw very little rotation. Like I said, everybody played every offensive snap, save for Justin, who had to come out for one. So did we see a change at the right tackle? We're going to find out when USC opens at Notre Dame on Saturday. It looked like Michael was struggling in pass protection. And that's when Murphy came in off the bench, took over for the rest of the game. I still don't understand Pro Football Focus and how they come up with their grades, but here's how their assessment of USC versus Arizona. As anticipated, even though I said I don't understand the formula, according to PFF, this was the worst overall grade of the season for USC. It was their worst offensive grade, their worst passing grade, their worst receiving grade, their second worst defensive grade, their second worst run defensive grade, second worst tackling grade, worst pass rush game grade, and their worst special teams grade. That's a lot of worst and next to worst. What were the positive grades? Well, pass blocking graded as good, running graded as above average. Remember, it was just the week before against Colorado when Mason Murphy struggled with his pass protection. And during that game, Michael Tarquin was actually the Pac-12 Offensive Lineman of the Week. Or at least he was USC's nominee for that accolade. The running game. Let's go over those numbers. The stat count was as even as I think it's going to get. You can maybe get a little bit closer, but two running backs. Marshawn Lloyd saw 41 snaps. Austin Jones saw 30. They ran the ball as a team 33 times. Austin Jones only had 6 attempts. One of them was a touchdown, a very important one. Austin Jones appears to be the best blocking running back. So when he's on the field, that's the role he's doing. I had mentioned the weather in the first segment, possibly playing a factor when USC heads out to Notre Dame. So if USC is averaging 6 yards a carry, isn't that going to be good enough, right? That's what the Trojans literally average when they run the ball. Well, let me go. That's what Marshawn Lloyd averages every time he runs the ball. He's had 169 rushing attempts. He's got 1,000 yards. Oh, pardon me. I got my stats wrong. This is the Trojans rushing stats. I apologize. They've attempted 169 rushing attempts. They've got 1,009 rushing yards through 6 games. They're averaging 5.97 yards per attempt. Call it 6 yards. And they have 17 rushing touchdowns. Lloyd's season line is absolutely fantastic. It's better than that. he needs to get more touches. So far, 67 rushing attempts, 519 yards. So he's got half of USC's 1,000. And when you divide that up, that's 7.75 yards per rushing attempt. Hand him the ball more. I think everyone will agree that was probably Caleb Williams' worst game statistically, especially throwing the ball. But he made the plays when he had to, when they were needed. But it made grading his performance difficult. I don't want to focus on his grade. I just want to focus on him making the plays when they needed to be made. What about the linebackers, though? Let's quickly get over to the defensive side of the ball. Mason Cobb, 80 snaps. Eric Gentry, 31. Tackett Curtis, 28. Shane Lee, 15. Even though Mason Cobb's rib kept popping out, he played 80 snaps. That's a lot. Shane Lee, it's good to see him get on the field, 15. And he was strong against the run. I anticipate him on the field a lot more than 15 snaps this coming weekend. Because, again, Notre Dame, they like to lean on their power running game. They got a guy named Audric Estime. He's a load. Dude just falls forward and gains 2 yards. The linebackers, it's going to be Mason Cobb, Eric Gentry, and Shane Lee. I know they're going to try and run Tackett Curtis out there again, but he needs to get better wrapping up. Eric Gentry, he made the most of his, what I say he had 31 snaps, played it much better than the week before where he only had 9. Christian Wallace, if he's healthy, is going to be your starting cornerback opposite Jacoby Covington. The USC defense was credited with 17 missed tackles. Wow. That's the same number they had against Colorado. I saw a lot of post-game comments from former defensive Trojan players, as well as some offensive former players who played offense for USC. The general consensus was that was embarrassing. Notre Dame is next. If you want to make a name for yourself, be a member of the USC team that goes into South Bend, Indiana, and comes home with a victory. I've been to 4 USC games in South Bend, Indiana. I've yet to experience a victory, but I'm going to make the pilgrimage again. I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. Medical emergencies are going to happen. That's why the Jace case is something everyone should consider, because everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace case. The Jace case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you a peace of mind so that you're not just hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand. Jace Medical is simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to the licensed pharmacy medication delivery, as well as ongoing consultation and care. Don't get caught unprepared. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using code LOCKEDON at checkout on jacemedical.com. That's Jace, J-A, S like Sam, E like Edward, medical.com, promo code LOCKEDON. Notre Dame is USC's #1 rival in the country's longest intersectional rivalry. When these two teams play, it doesn't matter if you cheer for USC or you cheer for Notre Dame. It doesn't matter. If you are a college football fan and you love tradition, then you must watch this game. It is for me, there's one game that I like to watch every year that has nothing to do with Trojan football. and that's the Army-Navy game because of the tradition and the pageantry, just like USC versus Notre Dame. There are a lot of other games that do interest me, but I chose Army-Navy because I have a ton of respect for the young men and women who choose to defend our country. So, how many of you have been to a USC Notre Dame game in South Bend, Indiana? My bucket list is Army-Navy. How many of you have never been to a USC Notre Dame game in South Bend, Indiana? You need to get that off your bucket list. If you haven't gone and you have the opportunity, I encourage everyone, make the pilgrimage at least one time in your life. Trust me, it's worth it. The Notre Dame campus, it's in the middle of nowhere, literally nowhere. I mean, it's a cornfield and a bunch of farmland, and then there's a whole bunch of nothing. But you don't have to be Catholic or religious to want to experience what Notre Dame offers. You can head over there, appreciate the Basilica, or taking a picture in front of Touchdown Jesus, but you put up your victory signals right in front of them. So get there early, walk around the campus. And again, you don't even have to have an itinerary. You don't have to have a checklist. Just walk, follow people around, see where you end up. Appreciate the colors. And I'm not talking about the green jerseys and the gold helmets. No. I want you to enjoy the Notre Dame campus for what it offers. I'm referring to the fall colors. Look at the trees. You're going to see different shades of brown, orange, yellow, red, all these different hues. You don't really get a fall season in Southern California. The Midwest offers you different seasons, and that's one of the beauty of USC traveling to Notre Dame in October. You get to experience this. I love to go hang out over by the grotto for a little while. Nothing, you can take a few minutes to kind of just, think about things that are important to you. Maybe remember somebody in your life who's no longer around. Just enjoy the quietness and the serenity around the lake over there near the grotto. And then, if you're going to make this trip, make it a weekend trip. Give yourself enough time to enjoy the day before. Typically, most USC fans, they go, if not early Friday, they'll get there Thursday night or Thursday the day before the weekend, so they can take in some of the sights around Chicago. It's a great city for eating. That's a passion of mine. I love to eat. I mean, if you want a good steak or a chop, there are a lot of great places to choose from in Chicago. I mean, a lot. You can't go wrong at pretty much any of them. I have a personal recommendation, the Chicago Chop House. Aces. I got a buddy, part of my tailgate group. His name's Al. He'll go by himself. He loves the Chop House, the Chicago Chop House. Hey, if you just want to try a great Chicago-style hot dog, go to Portillo's. They're everywhere. And try one of those. They're really good. And while you're there, get a cake shake. And you will need a spoon. Those things do not suck up through a straw. I think I almost popped an eyeball out one time trying to make that happen. I'm sure everybody's tried deep dish pizza. But how many of you have had an authentic Chicago-style deep dish pizza? You heard me say it, Chicago. And then once you're there, you just have to choose. Is it going to be Giordano's or is it going to be Lou Malnati's? This weekend for me, coming up, I'm doing a late dinner at Lou Malnati's. When you finally do start your game day on Saturday, you have a few choices on how to get there. I've never done this, but they do have a group of buses for Trojan fans. I heard it's a fun ride. Just a bunch of Trojan fans taking a field trip. Can get pretty rowdy. And I'm not sure. I think they still do it. There's the Trojan train, the Trojan alumni train. I've never done that, but I have done Amtrak in the past. I used to love taking the train from Orange County down to San Diego on a Friday. It's literally an hour and a half, roughly 90 minutes, maybe a little bit less, but it's a party. It's just people getting liquored up after a long week of work. It's a commuter train. So I've heard the same happens on the Trojan train, including they serve hot chili after the game on your way home. Me, I'm going to be in the car by 8 a.m. I'll be with my peer and associate, Eric McKinney from over there on WeRSC.com. And I'll be bringing along a roll of quarters because for some reason, when you drive, there are I think there's 15 tolls that you have to pay. There's not quite that many, but there's a lot of tolls. For whatever reason, between Chicago, Illinois, and South Bend, Indiana, you got to keep throwing change into the box. But it's a really nice scenic drive. So if you have the means and the opportunity, I encourage this as well. Again, I love checking out scenery, the atmosphere, what's going on. That's why I do my notes and observations report for every game. However, there is a caveat if you're going to drive. As I mentioned, I have never been to USC. I've never been to a USC victory at Notre Dame. So those trips back to the hotel in Chicago, those drives feel a lot longer after a loss. And it's dark. So I can't even enjoy the scenery on the ride home. I don't want to have another long drive home back to the hotel after this game, especially because it's another 7:30 p.m. kickoff Eastern Standard Time. But we want to get out there early so we can enjoy everything that I described up above here. And I also love to watch the Irish Guard as they lead their team into the stadium. It's their version of a Trojan walk, but it's also something I encourage every USC fan. Go check this out. It's really cool. You might get impressed. I know I was. Each one of those Irish Guard, they look like NFL tight ends. They all stand at least 6'6". Yeah, they're big dudes. And they don't stop for anything that's in their path. Once they are in motion, they don't stop. And I found out the hard way one time. I literally got knocked out of the way because I was standing in their path. I wasn't paying attention. There's something else you'll probably notice when you go out, make your trip to the USC Notre Dame game. The Notre Dame fan base out there, they really do appreciate USC and this rivalry a lot more than the Notre Dame fan base that we're accustomed to when the game's in LA. We like to call them the Subway alumni. Just a different group of fans out there and at the game in South Bend, Indiana. So USC versus Notre Dame is literally what college football is all about. It's what it was meant to be. It's the colors. It's the pageantry. It's the tradition. It's the fight songs. It's everything else I described up above. And it is literally something every college football fan should try at least one time in their life. Make the pilgrimage to South Bend, Indiana. I'll be out there. Number 5, hoping for a win. I can't do it again. I can't leave that stadium without experiencing doing one of these. And everyone, you know what to do until our next episode of Locked On USC. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.